I haven't baked some croissants in a long time, so I decided to bake them today. I've got some flour and salt in there, bread flour, adding some unsalted butter. I'm going to rub it in. This is similar to how you bake scones. When baking scones, you rub in the flour and butter together. So you rub the butter into the flour. Okay, looks like this. Now I'm going to add yeast. I'm using 2 packets of yeast, which are 7 grams each. Sugar, 50 grams. And then I'm going to add some milk. I'm going to add it a little bit at a time. This is 340 milliliters. I might not need all of it, so I'll see. I need some more. I'll just add the rest. Okay, so now it's too thick for me to mix it with my spatula. This is a 2-piece spatula, so this handle comes off and on. It's too thick to do that now, so I'm going to knead it by hand. I'll mix it in the bowl, and I'll actually knead it in the bowl. It saves me cleaning up the work surface. It starts off sticky like this, but if you didn't add as much milk as I did, which you can leave about 10 milliliters or so, it won't be as sticky. But now you need to knead it until it becomes smooth. I'm doing it all in the bowl. There's no need to take it out, but if you want to, you can. If it's too sticky to handle, instead of adding more flour, a tip I got many years ago is to add some oil. You can use any oil you have, olive oil, rapeseed oil, or any oil, and use that to knead. It just stops your dough from drying out too much. You see, it's not as sticky as it was anymore. Usually people are tempted to add more flour. You could add more flour, but it just makes your dough drier. See, it's beautiful now. A lot less sticky and so much fun to work with. This dough we're making is good for croissants as well as pain au chocolat. You can use the same dough. Okay, now this is nice and smooth, and I'm going to leave this now. Leave this to rest, settle, rise for a little bit. Cover it with some cling film. I had a piece of cling film that I used for something else, and I don't want to get another one, so I'll cover it with that. That will do. And leave it to rise. While this is rising, I'll be sorting out my butter. The butter that will actually go in the dough. This is the butter that's going to go into the dough. I'll explain that later. But anyway, I need 340 grams of unsalted butter. I'm just cutting it like this so that it's easier to roll. If you've got your ways of doing it, then go ahead. Okay. Just going to put it like this. Get another piece of greaseproof paper. I'll push this down a bit. Should do, okay. And then get a rolling pin and flatten it. You may need to bash down the butter to make it easier to roll, like this. You don't want your butter too soft when you start with, because it will just spread all over your paper. Yes, you could soften it, but it wouldn't be a good idea. It needs to be cold so that it's still quite contained. See, it's getting there. Okay, I think it's done now. Okay, so yeah, it's about this thick, which is what you need. Now I'm going to just try to make it as much of a rectangle as possible. Just make it easier to put it in the dough later on. Doesn't have to be the case, but it just helps. I could even cut this off, place it on top. Same for this. Okay, perfect. I am going to put this in the fridge now because it's beginning to soften too much. So this is going to go in the fridge while my dough is rising and resting, and then I'll come back to this. For the next step of the croissant making process, the dough is ready. You don't need flour. See, See, it's not sticking, but if you find your dough sticking, you can add flour. I'm going to add some flour on the rolling pin though. Might as well add some there. I'm going to roll it to a rectangle shape, about the same width as the same height as my butter. I'll get the butter out later from the fridge to measure it. The dough feels really, really nice. You can actually tell you've got good dough as soon as you start working with it. Okay, about this length. I've got my butter, which was in the fridge. Oh, perfect. I'm putting it right in the middle there. Then I'm going to cover like that. And then the other half. Oh, this is nice. I'm going to just seal the edges a bit so that the butter doesn't come out. That. This is where you need quite a bit of space on the work surface. You can start by pressing down the butter before you start rolling it out. It's gonna be out of frame for now. I'll just turn it so that I can show you. Okay. I could actually roll it this way so that you can see. Okay, it's about the same length it was earlier when we first started. So I'm going to fold this like that, and then fold this, turn it, and then roll some more. Called a book turn. Okay, when I turn it, I'm going to roll it a bit more. When it starts to get softer, I need to put it in the fridge before the butter starts to melt. You can see the butter through the dough. It's very important that you still see the butter and that it's cold. Okay, I'm going to fold it. Fold it again. This time I am going to put it in the fridge because the butter is getting too soft. So about half an hour, or if you need it to be quick, you could put it in the freezer for a shorter time. Put it in cling wrap first. Before you put it in the fridge. Or whatever else you use to wrap your dough. Okay, this is going in the fridge before I do the whole process again of rolling it and folding it. I just got it out of the fridge. I'm going to roll it out again a few times and then put it back in the fridge. You can still see the butter here. The butter blocks are still there. It will eventually all mix in with the flour, with the dough, that you won't see any more of the butter. And you can see I didn't add any flour. There's no need to. Okay, let me just flip this over. You can see some of the butter is coming out here. So let me just roll this out to put the butter back in. So I'm going to fold it again, turn it, and then start to roll. I'll roll it this way, so only so that you can see. So, but I'll roll it this way instead of this way. If pressing it down helps, you can do that. If your rolling pin is beginning to stick onto your dough, just flour it. Get a bit of flour, put it on your rolling pin. It rolls it better without stretching the dough. without pulling the dough and stretching it. See, it's nice and smooth. And if you are uncomfortable with the stickiness at the bottom, you can just lift it up too. Add a bit of flour. And then roll. It becomes easy as well. So it just depends. If you're finding it hard to work with, you think it's a bit sticky, add some flour. And then fold it again. Keep the batter in. The batter is getting a bit too soft, so I'm going to put this back in my cling film. And then put it in the fridge.